On your marks, get set, go. The race has begun. This is what it feels like as a fifth year student who has recently started the Leaving Cert experience. And I'm sure you're very confused as to what I'm talking about, but what I'm referring to is dubbed the points race. Now, this phrase is so often linked with the Leaving Cert itself that it's basically become synonymous with it. And if you think about it, it really does describe it well. It's a competitive and high stakes race that's 2 grueling laps long and requires a kick into the high gear in the last lap. And then, before you know it, it's all over. You're free to do whatever you want now. I think Irish education should not depend on the points race. They say the purpose of our education is to prepare us for the big, bad world so we can live our most enjoyable lives possible. And if you think about it, are you really prepared for modern global issues in the world today, like poverty or healthcare? Well, there's one issue that I think is far too overlooked. And this is the issue of being controlled and influenced by what you read, see, and hear in the media. This concept isn't new, but it's definitely way more prevalent to you, the individual, than ever before. I think education should and can prepare you for this issue. Education could be a resolution, not an obstruction. The media has immense power over you. They have the power to control what you read, see, and hear in the news. They have the power to pick and choose certain stories and then present them to you with a hidden motive. In other words, the media wants to change what you think about and how you think about things, and history shows that the media will abuse this power. The issue of fake news has never been as popular as now. Not only is it more prevalent to you, the individual, through platforms like social media, but people like Donald Trump have certainly made it more popular. I think it's important to know that fake news is nothing new. Yes, it's presented to you differently now than it was before, and is arguably far more difficult to distinguish. But fake news has been around since the establishment of the free press. A historical example of fake news is the Nazi propaganda during World War II. It misleaded and distracted people from the truth. It fooled people with feelings and falsehoods. Nowadays, fake news still has the same basis, even though it's presented to you on your devices rather than a poster. Fake news has always been around, and it's here to stay. The issue is unavoidable in your daily lives, and it's near impossible to regulate and control. But what I think we can do is educate and prepare ourselves with certain skills so we can learn to live with fake news, not against it. Now, don't get me wrong, fake news certainly isn't an issue without any proposed solutions. AI, or artificial intelligence, has proven to be one of the most popular of these. Facebook is, by a long shot, the most popular social media network out there, which means it's prone to fake news. And after a recent security breach, it's lost trust among many of its users. But Facebook is on a mission to regain user trust and has announced their partnership with independent fact-checking organizations that use AI to recognize fake news. Many other social platforms have chosen the power of AI to verify the truthfulness of viral stories. This sounds great, doesn't it? But what does all this mean? To put it simply, AI is a development of a computer system to perform tasks that would normally require human intelligence, like speech recognition, for example. Essentially, these fact-checking organizations use AI computer systems to deconstruct parts of a news story and then check the accuracy of each part against a trustworthy source. And for the most part, this is successful at recognizing fake news. However, I think it's really important that we do not become a society that depends on a computer to recognize a lie in the news. Fake news is spread by you, not a computer. So you should be a part of the solution. It's important to understand that fake news thrives off you. You share, retweet, and gossip about fake news. It's so successful at spreading because of people's lack of skills to recognize it. There are 3 such skills that I think should be incorporated more into our education system. These are analysis, critical thinking, and interpretation. How can all these help with fake news? Well, let me tell you how. If students at school are taught to analyse and think critically about a news story, then they could recognize its flaws. And by thinking critically, I mean asking yourself a number of questions. Is there gaps in this news story? Which parts don't add up? Is this from a reliable or valid source? Another way to recognize a fake news story is by looking for alternative sources about the same story. And if no one else is talking about it, what you've read is rubbish, basically. Interpretation is also very important. If people learn to interpret and interrogate a news story, then they could recognize its bias or lack of accuracy, because most of the time, each news story will have a hidden agenda. But progress is being made on this issue, and changes are being made to our education system in recent times. Politics and society is the first new subject introduced to the Leaving Cert curriculum in over a decade. Multiple skills, like analysis, critical thinking, and interpretation, are all at the core of this new subject. So, the next time you hear Donald Trump say, "You are fake news," well, he really means it, because it's true. You spread fake news so you can stop fake news. Because being able to recognize the reality versus a falsehood is such an important skill in life that needs much more discussion. Fake news won't go away, but just remember that education can help with this issue. Thank you.